Well, hello everybody, NPC here. What you're looking at is a pile of rubble. That's what's left of that base in my efforts to rebuild it. I took something out that I shouldn't, and a bunch of it collapsed, and I just said, the heck with it. Anyway, this is give you an idea of some of the stuff that I've been experimenting with, we'll say. Now, where did I put that stuff? I think it's way back over here. Nope, I guess not. Between saving and eliminating stuff, I seem to have either destroyed or deleted some of the test stuff that I had done out here. And while this base here seemed to be a good idea, I've discovered that there's a couple of big problems with using this kind of base defense. Now, a lot of people think using the blocks, and here you can't really hardly even see them that are supporting that. But if I go here, show stability, you see these little bits and pieces. Now, it used to be the zombies would swing around wildly and only hit one of these occasionally by accident. So that was a glitch in the matrix, if we will. And they didn't specifically target these little tiny pieces. However, from what I understand, that glitch no longer exists. However, zombies being zombies makes it difficult for them to hit those little pieces, although they can target them more clearly than in earlier versions of the game. Now, this is another base that I built, and I separated these two so that the space that the block actually takes up is up instead of down. And the reason for that is so that there's a little more room inside here to shoot down. Plus, I left the center open. So that it's possible to shoot down in there. And I made this little kind of caged walkway around. Now, because these blocks interfere with each other, there's not, like here, I don't have a double layer on the outside. And I don't have the double layer all the way around on the inside either, because the blocks still take up a full space. But at least here, a little more easily, I suppose, it is possible to shoot down better. Now, while these scaffolding bars work very well, are very good at repelling cop puke, they are not immune to damage. And since they're on wood, the cop puke eventually destroys them. And to my, not surprise, but to my inattentiveness, if I stand in one spot too long, and there's cops active down there below, one or more of them will target the area where I'm standing. And it only takes maybe 3 hits, and they'll blow out the floor beneath me, and then I wind up on the ground, which is not a good situation in regular game, because I'm not in God mode then. So while this double layer of scaffolding ladders alternated 90 degrees is very good at repelling cop puke, it is not invulnerable. So I've got this base I built as an experiment, but I haven't tested it. I don't know if it would work any better than the one over there that's now a pile of rubble or not. The big thing is I'm trying to run around here and not stand in one place too long, and also doing my best to repair damage to the structure. Of course, the reason that this is a problem is while the scaffolding ladders repel the cop puke, the cops can still see me quite clearly through those scaffolding ladders. And if they can see me, they can target me. So in that sense, a solid floor would be more effective, I think, because they wouldn't be able to see me. And even going up 1 or 2 blocks on the side, this is 2 blocks, and I think my head is below the top. So essentially, they wouldn't be able to see me from out there anywhere. Now, if they came in here in the middle, they could look up and see me and do the same thing. They could target the blocks in the floor. And, of course, even solid blocks on the floor are no stronger than the scaffolding planks and even less immune to penetration by cop puke. So this concept here seems to be not ideal for an all wood or in any other way actually horde base, although it was an interesting experiment to attempt. Now, I also realized a couple days ago that, hey, I'm doing all these experiments out here in the desert, which is more difficult than in the forested area. So perhaps I would do better to go in a forested area and clear off a big patch of land and make it flat and do experiments there. Now, this experiment shows great promise. I've tested it a little bit, but not on a full horde bite. And the idea here is that this is just a 5-block square with ladders on this side, or they're actually scaffolding ladders, I believe. So they're a little more durable and protect the blocks, at least from this side. But anyway, the idea is that the zombies will run around to where the scaffolding plank ladders are and climb up. I put this extra banding here just to help cut down on the attrition rate of the blocks at this level. In practice, now, most of these ideas, except for that alternating the scaffolding ladders 90 degrees from one another, that was something I came up with on my own. But this, the core of this base here, is not an original concept by me, the core design concept. However, I modified it quite a bit to my own, for my own use. Now, I practiced with it a little bit and found out that this level is too low. It needs to be, I need to be up higher. So really I need to add another layer of flooring in here, raise the roof blocks one more layer so that I'm up higher and have a view more horizontal to the top of that block over there. Now, of course, this works quite well because the zombies come up here. They see these half or quarter pipe, half pipes, I think, as a viable path over to here. And they also see a slope as a viable path. So they hop over the edge, slide down here, sometimes just fall off, or they can manage to land on these here, and then when they're trying to jump across, will fall into the gap. Once in a while, one of them actually makes it over here far enough to stand there and start beating on the base. Not a real good thing to happen, but so few of them do that that it's pretty easy to control. Plus, I can use throwables from inside here, like out in that area or out in that area. But anything that's explosive, like grenades, pipe bombs are not too bad, or Molotov cocktails, will, of course, cause a fair amount of damage to the wood over time. But since that's a solid block, and it's not where I am, the zombies don't really attack on that block too seriously, because they're interested in getting at me inside right there. So they'll occasionally smack it or whack it, and sometimes they damage one of the rungs, but with 5 sets of ladders to get up to the top, that usually works pretty well. I haven't done it with a Horde Night Horde, but I've experimented with different groups. You know, some feral Arlenes and some cops to check for the cop puke, and if I can get the cops shot off and killed before they come up here and start peppering the front of this with puke. Now, I also did this slopey bit in the front because what happens is, of course, the spider zombies come over here and they want to jump on the roof. Well, they'll jump across there, but since that's a slopey bit, they just slide down again. They can't jump from here high enough to get all the way up along that edge. At least I haven't found that to be true yet. So this is actually a pretty good alternative. And I'd have to modify this part of it. Like I said, it needs to be made higher, so I have a more direct line of fire across the top of this block here. And this is the same thing. It's I use these little bits and pieces as support because they're less likely to be hit, even intentionally, by the zombies. And even though I'm up there, there's no clear path to get at me here from down below. So they pretty much don't bother coming around the underneath of this part here. If they come here, jump, fall off, they go out and around and climb up the ladder again. It's a pretty effective way to do it. I've been thinking about incorporating some other ideas in there too. But I'll come back to that sometime in the future and show the results of my modifications to that design. Now, next, I'm going to go to another area that I've prepared because, like I said, I found out I'm doing all this stuff in the desert, and hordes and zombies tend to be a little more feisty in this locale. And Glock 9's original challenge was in the forest. So what I've done, and that's where I'm going to go to next, is I level off an area in the forest and go over there and check that out. Okay, so here I am over in the forest on a river. I had a heck of a time finding a river that was going in the right direction. It's not a very big one, but as some of you may know, that the land blocks that the map is built with are oriented north and south, but the blocks that you build with are turned 45 degrees from that. So what would be north and south then becomes northeast and southwest, or northwest and southeast. So to find a little riverbank that was oriented in the correct direction for the river blocks meant I had to hunt around for a while. Anyway, this is a variation on that other video that's out in the desert. Same kind of concept. I put ladders down there and stairs. Make it easy as possible for these guys to climb up. I also put stairs on the side. These are all scaffolding ladders, because sometimes they fall in the water and they come around here and they get aggravated a little and start punching on the sides of this pointlessly when there's all these ladders that they can climb back up and get to me. This also works fairly well in testing, not with haven't tested it with a full horde, but it would appear that it would work pretty well, maybe also with some minor modifications. But the shooting position inside here is more in line, as here you can see, more in line with the top. So, oops. It makes it pretty easy to shoot the zombies as they climb up and come up on the back side there. And pretty much the same thing. They got the pipes to come out on. I've got some ideas that might work even in addition to this, might make it a little better for dealing with the zombies, especially if they cluster up. I've had to build some reinforcements down around the bottom here because same thing. I thought dumping them in the water would calm them down a bit, which I'm not sure actually works. You can see the water's deep enough that it's over their head, and they don't seem to come over here and beat on my little blocks that I've used again. You can see the green blocks. That's all supported quite well. Of course, this is almost all solid green here, except for that center, because there's no block under the very bottom of it. But since they don't tend to beat on this, stability and strength is not that crucial on this part of this base. And they don't really attack that part of the base. They don't attack these supports underneath. So it looks like it's floating, but it's actually fully supported. And those little blocks don't save anything. They cost every bit as much as a full wooden block, and they have the same strength. Just that supposedly it's a little more difficult for the zombies to hit them than it is for them to hit a full block. What are you doing down here, idiot? Just being annoying, huh? Anyway, that's one more of my little experiments that may need a little bit more development. Okay, so now, let's see, we'll go into the map again. Now we're over here. Now I'm pretty sure it's somewhere out here. Oh no, it's not on this. I gotta walk back out of this save and go to a different save, because what I did is I found an area that was relatively flat over here in the woodlands. And I cleared it out of all the trees and stuff, but that's on a different save. So I have to back out of here and go to that other save. Okay, everybody, so here I am over in the forested, the green area, right next to this little farm and this little house over here. This was a pretty big chunk of almost perfectly flat land. I just cleared the trees off of it. There's still a few rocks scattered out there. But this will become my new test facility in the woodlands. Now we just eliminate that. And I'll put up some kind of little thing over here like I did in the desert base. Anyway, I'll get back to you after that is done.